Whether you're planning a local bus service, regional train system, or even a ferry, there are two universal guiding principles that will help you design an effective transit service. These are efficiency and convenience. Our goal is to provide accessible, timely service for riders across an entire community, while remaining sustainable in terms of cost and resource use. These guiding principles apply to all public transit, and on-demand transit is no exception. This video will outline how to design and implement an effective on-demand service area in your community. Different models of on-demand transit, or ODT, serve different goals. The most straightforward model is a supplementary service, which introduces ODT to completely new, unserved areas without altering the existing system. The goal of a supplementary service is to provide transit access to underserved populations. This approach helps foster transit equity without needing to rethink the entire system. Conversely, if we have underperforming fixed routes, a complementary service model is the best option. Here, we transition inefficient fixed routes to ODT and preserve the rest. Riders can seamlessly transfer between the new complementary ODT service and remaining fixed routes. With a complementary service, we can provide more efficient, cost-effective transit without reducing access for the riders who had relied on those underperforming fixed routes. Finally, we have primary service areas. In this style of service, ODT is the primary mode of transit across an area. This model is often seen in smaller communities with lower demand, or in denser areas during times of lower ridership, such as nights or weekends. When applied correctly, a primary ODT service can increase accessibility across a region, with the same or often fewer resources than a fixed route service. Every community has unique needs, but there are some common traits among the best performing on-demand service areas. The first and best indicator of a good service area is self-containment. Until now, the traditional microtransit model has required agencies to create highly localized ODT services that are not self-contained. A microtransit service is typically comprised of several small zones, each served by one small vehicle. These zones rarely cover the complete range of residential, commercial, and employment areas, so riders are forced to transfer multiple times in a single trip. If we only serve a residential area, for example, riders traveling to work or retail centers would need to use another mode of transportation in conjunction with ODT. This will make ODT inconvenient for most riders, and thus reduce the ridership of the service. By contrast, if we provide easy access to residential, commercial, and industrial areas, our service will be suited to all needs. This is where Pantonium's macrotransit platform is different from the microtransit model. Our advanced global optimization allows us to focus on large, self-contained service areas to increase access, efficiency, and ridership. Another important consideration are the times at which your service runs. We don't need to operate all day, but should ensure service is running during the times at which our targeted riders tend to travel. As an example, if we're designing a service with traditional commuters in mind, we would want to make sure that we are running with a healthy buffer to capture both the morning and evening rush hours in their entirety. One more driver of success is a large, dense network of transit stops. We aim to have ODT stops in close walking distance to as many riders as possible. This can be a costly goal in a fixed route context. But with ODT, there is no cost to adding transit stops. We have the option to add virtual stops, which are stops programmed into the system without the need for bus shelters or other infrastructure. They will simply be displayed on a map to riders and dispatchers booking trips, so there is no need for any physical markers. Furthermore, unlike a conventional fixed route, vehicles are never obligated to visit newly added stops. They will only be routed to a stop if a rider requests it. So, adding stops to the service area is a low-risk way to give riders more convenience and flexibility. The goal of every public transit agency is to provide a service that is both operationally efficient and convenient for riders. By designing a service area with a few key considerations in mind, we can make sure that this goal is realized for every style of ODT service. Ask a Pantonium expert about how to best design your ODT service area. Whether you are introducing a supplementary service to an underserved neighborhood or transitioning an entire region to a primary ODT model,